Greetings, friends, and welcome to today's dose of inspiration. Well, we are still continuing our little series on prayer. I bet some of you probably didn't think there could really be this much to say about something like prayer, but actually there is a lot that can be said of prayer. We probably could spend the next year on this one subject, and because it is the most important discipline in the believer's life, it's very important that we park here for a little while to get a good grasp of just how important prayer is and the best way that we can learn to pray. Prayer is simply a communication with God. You will remember that last week we talked about the model prayer and some very specific things that Jesus laid out for us to incorporate in our daily time with God. Today I want to talk a little bit about the timing of that prayer. Is there really a time of the day that's better to pray? Is it important to pray in the morning? Is it important to pray in the evening? Or does it even matter at all, just so long as we pray? I think one of the best ways, like in every other area of life, to figure out the best time for prayer is to simply look at the life of Jesus. He is our model, after all, and the very life that we are striving to be like. Jesus made it a habit of rising early in the morning to talk to God, even before the sun came up. Long before everyone else was awake, Jesus found himself withdrawing away to the Father. I think that is very important for us to consider. Do I think that is a rule that if we don't pray early in the morning, God's going to somehow be dissatisfied with us? No, absolutely not. Because as we've already discussed, there is no rules or no formula for prayer. There are only patterns that would be optimal for us to follow. One of those patterns in the life of Christ that we see is that often he rose early before everyone else was awake to get alone with God. And I believe he did that for two reasons. Number one, I think it was a way that he could have some quiet solitude with God, uninterrupted by life's activities and by the people around him who demanded his attention. Long before the disciples were awake, he was already out spending time with God because he knew as soon as they were awake, they would be bombarding him with questions and advice and things like that. Also, I think the second reason why Jesus did that was because he realized the importance of getting things straight before the day began. You will remember last week when we talked about that model prayer that there were very specific things that Jesus said we should pray, one of which was seeking God's will each and every day. It's real important that we talk to him about what his will is for the day before the day even starts. Because once we're 4 or 5 hours into the day, we've already had plenty of choices to step outside of his will if we haven't already asked him beforehand what his will really is. Now again, I'm not making some kind of law or formula that you have to follow when you pray. Simply showing you that the pattern in Jesus' life and the habit that he was into was rising very early to get that prayer time in, to seek his Father and to ask his will for the day, to ask for his wisdom, to ask for his strength, to ask for knowledge, to ask for every viable thing that Jesus was going to need. He did that before the day even started. Sometimes when we're in the midst of a day, we have troubling situations that arise. And in the midst of those type of situations, there's not always time to stop for an emergency prayer session. It's better to go ahead and be armed and ready before the situation even arises. So I want to challenge you, friends, if you're not already in the habit of spending time with God early in your day, try to begin incorporating that and see what kind of difference it might make. Yes, you might have to fight through a few yawns, and you might have to lose just a little bit of sleep in order to make this happen. But I can guarantee you that the rewards of spending time with God early in the day will far outweigh anything that you have to sacrifice to do so. I want to thank you so very much for watching. Until next time, I pray that you will walk in the favor and the blessings of the Lord. See you soon.